On today's video, we're going to talk about everything you need to know about Broward County, Florida. We're not going to go over too much analytical information because Broward County literally correlates perfectly with state analytics. It is literally the most average and best representation analytically of the state of Florida. It's the most bland analytical county in the state, so there's no reason to get in any specific analytics. It simply is a county that perfectly correlates and represents what the state of Florida is. The analytics for overdoses and homicide rates are about the state average, which is very impressive because it is the second largest county in the state of Florida by population. Only Miami has more people. Broward County has just under 2 million people. Miami-Dade has 2.6 million people. The second largest county in Florida by population, with analytics that are kind of flat representing the state of Florida, means that Fort Lauderdale's metropolitan area of Broward County is quite literally the most bland or basic representation of the state of Florida, with one key factor being a little different, and that is the fact that Broward County is predominantly a liberal county, not a Republican county, and that it is very diverse. When you look at a race map of Broward County, you'll notice that it is just a complete mix of black, Hispanic, and white, making it one of the most integrated places in the entire South, and in particular, the most racially diverse area in Florida by far. The city of Fort Lauderdale actually has more gays than San Francisco by percentage of the population, and in that, it is very different than any other urban area in Florida because Fort Lauderdale and Broward County are liberal, very different than the surrounding state. Obviously, with nearly 2 million people, you can expect that there are going to be some very bad neighborhoods. But even those bad neighborhoods are fairly within reason for being in the state of Florida. Thus, Fort Lauderdale, Broward County is again kind of bland, a simple representation of the state of Florida that is almost always analytically right down the middle. The homicide rate has been increasing slowly over the last 3 years. It is a little bit above the state average right now. As Miami-Dade County becomes more expensive, the poor inner city black population has been moving northbound into Broward County looking for affordability, and thus that has analytically raised the homicide rate a little. All counties north of Miami-Dade have seen an increase in homicide rates as Okeechobee County, Broward County, Palm Beach County, Martin County, St. Lucie County. The people that can't afford to live in Miami anymore, usually the poor, less educated, more criminal-bound people, can't afford to live in Miami as Miami gets more expensive and more elite. They move a little further north, and then those counties get a little worse. Common sense. As far as the hoods and the worst areas in Broward County, things are not looking good. New news reports show an uptick in homicides. We're talking Pompano, we're talking the bad areas of Northwest Fort Lauderdale, Lauderhills. These particular neighborhoods that are bad are really getting bad. Now, it's not like Alabama levels of violence, but it is still not a place you want to end up in. Does that mean that all of Broward County is an out-of-control crime? No, it means that the bad areas are getting worse. Drug overdose death rates in rural north central Florida are like 2 times higher. Homicide rates in other counties are significantly higher. So it's not like Broward is this out-of-control crime-ridden mess, but there's particular pockets in Pompano, Northwest Fort Lauderdale, areas that just have a bad reputation are just getting worse because, again, people cannot afford to live in Miami, and all of the poor people from Miami are moving northbound. Just about the entire core of the Haitian community that originally was in Miami is now in Broward County. The Haitian community is a hard-working group of people, but unfortunately, the inner-city youth of African American mixed with their cultures has led to a lot of the youth that come from Haiti or Haitian Americans really leading a life of crime in the United States, trying to emulate a culture that really is not the best intention for them. Inner city African American culture has been influencing a lot of the Haitian community, And now it's really starting to become a problem for a community of immigrants that is a hardworking community, great people. A lot of Haitians work in hospitality. A lot of them work in restaurants, hotels, medicine, hospitals, nurses. The Haitian community really is a great community, and they contribute greatly to making Broward County a better place. But the poor inner city African-American culture-aimed types of Haitians are really emulating a culture that is destructive. Now, if you got a problem with that statement, you can listen to statements from other African-Americans in the African-American community that will tell you that it is a culture of gangs, drugs, destruction, and basically self-destruction. That is what this culture does to people. And unfortunately, Broward County has a reputation of that culture emulating that lifestyle, and it's led to nothing but destruction among the youth. There's plenty of Hispanics and blacks living in good suburban areas. In fact, Coral Springs has African-American suburban areas that have great analytics. So the notion that every black neighborhood is bad, that doesn't exist in the year 2024. A lot of these suburbs that are predominantly black or Hispanic have great analytics and are actually among the safest in the entire state of Florida. Parkland, Coral Springs, these are suburbs that have some of the best crime analytics anywhere in the state of Florida, on par with the best communities in the entire country, and they're communities that are very diverse. A lot of people have the notion that diversity in itself is a bad thing. I read these comments on my channel almost every single day. Diversity brings problems. It's not exactly true. Broward County is a perfect example of how an area can be diverse and at the same time extraordinarily safe, with communities like Parkland and Coral Springs in the forefront of examples of areas that are extremely diverse and extremely safe. But Broward County really is a melting pot. The best and the worst, all of it mixes here, and it creates a unique cultural fusion. Take, for example, an artist who is famous from Broward County. He is a Jewish rapper. You just don't get that anywhere else in America. He is Jewish, but he is culturally, subculturally into the hip-hop culture. He's a rapper, but his heritage is Jewish. You're not going to get that weird mix anywhere in America. Again, it just goes to show that Broward County is a cultural melting pot where everybody draws from other people's cultures. Where else in America are you going to get a Jewish rapper with gold teeth rapping about eating Cuban food? Nowhere else but Broward County. This place is a real melting pot. Sometimes for the good, for the cultural exchange. Other times, inner city, poverty. It really doesn't create the most appealing environment. It's a very scammy type of county as well. While their violent crime is not very high, Fort Lauderdale is a place of scam and finesse on levels unseen anywhere. While you're driving around the county, you have to be aware of pedestrians. Many people who are pedestrians will literally purposely crash their bicycles into your vehicle to then stage an accident and say that you hit them. Finesse and fraud and scamming is huge in Broward County, and that is one of the downsides of this area, that somebody is always trying to freaking scam you. Despite the fact that Broward County is in its entirety kind of a suburban county in many ways, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have culture. Now, Broward County is like the prime suburban example of what Florida is. Again, all average analytics. It's a very suburban county in all its context. But do not forget that within that, it has essence. It has culture. If you like diversity of cuisine, there is literally no shortage in Broward County. Whether you like French or Colombian or Cuban or Haitian, the amount of food diversity in this county is literally unmatched. The nightlife here is literally epic. Along the coast, there are several focal points of nightlife, and they extend into Palm Beach County as well and into Miami. So if you like to party and be out late, nightlife is literally unmatched here. We're talking spots like downtown Fort Lauderdale, Las Olas, Deerfield Beach, Pompano Beach. There's so many different specific focus points along the coast. And again, it expands into Broward. You're talking Palm Beach, you're talking Dade, you're talking 3 counties that along the coast have many focal points of nightlife. Each town identity is unique in the nightlife. You got Deerfield Beach, you got Delray Beach. Like every single one of these towns along the coast has their own identity. Aventura in Miami, like so many focal points along the beach of culture and nightlife, things to do. There's literally no shortage of fun times along the coast of Broward County and neighboring counties as well. And I say that because Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach are one giant metropolitan area, continuous urban setting. You can go into any of those counties. Like if you live in South Broward, you could easily be in Miami, Hollywood. Each one of these cities, again, has their own like particular flavor of culture. Some are very elegant, some are more modern, some are more just different coastal vibes. Like each one of these coastal communities has like so much unique cultural vibes. West Palm Beach is aggressive, fun, vibrant. Boca Raton, like Hollywood. Like if you like nightlife, this area is second only maybe to Nashville and Las Vegas. There's really a lot to do here. And in the wintertime, when people from up north come down, if you like going out at night and doing things, there's really no place in America that can compete with this metropolitan area. Maybe Los Angeles, maybe Las Vegas, maybe Nashville, but really this is top nightlife out here. It's a very fun, modern, hip city. It really is even trend-setting when it comes to nightlife. And it's not one cultural focal point. Like I said, there's like countless places where nightlife unfolds in different ways. And even bad areas like Lauderhill, Miami Gardens, also in their own unique way are hip. They're a little bit more dangerous. They're not as elegant as, let's say, Delray Beach, but they have their own nightlife, their own life. And that is something that this metropolitan area has. And the diversity of the people contributes to that. You go to Fort Lauderdale, you can hear some salsa music, you can hear some country music, some rock music. It's just a little bit of everything. Sometimes some Caribbean music. There's a lot of money here too. We're talking Mercedes-Benzes, we're talking even beyond that, Ferraris, Rolls-Royces. Then you got the old school Florida donks. Don't forget that it has also that South Florida vibe. When it comes to nightlife and things to do, this is a top city. Now it comes at a price tag. It's a very expensive county to live in. I have actually considered moving to Broward County. When I looked at the rent prices, it changed my mind. It really is quite expensive. But if you can afford it, the quality of life that you get here is very good. Now, it is a large metropolitan area. We all know what comes with living in large cities in this time and era. It's not a big surprise. We all know what the package of urban life comes with. We all know that, right? It's not a secret. But it's significantly safer than other metropolitan areas. Take, for example, Nashville, Tennessee. Their homicide rate is 16 per 100,000. Broward County is about 8 per 100,000. Roughly, you're half as likely to get killed in this metropolitan area as you are in a place like Nashville, Tennessee. So when you compare it to other cities, it really is very safe. That is why you see a lot of money. Rolls-Royces, Ferraris. That's like normal stuff to see here. Celebrities, athletes, all these people. The nightlife here and the ambiance really is top dollar because it's a safe place. A lot of money. It's a mix of diversity and culture, but at the same time, it's still elegant. It's still refined. Broward County is its unique mix of luxury, culture, and vibes. Nightlife here is exceptional. Beaches in Broward County are literally phenomenal. With one little detail, parking. It's an urban, densely populated area. You may have to even consider taking an Uber or paid parking. It's not like you're literally just going to find a parking spot here on the beach. They're packed, they're busy, and it's expensive. It's a huge tourist destination as well. Fort Lauderdale International Airport is very close to downtown and very close to the beaches. And it means that if you have friends coming from out of state to visit you, you couldn't ask for a better place. The airport is close to the beaches, it's close to the downtown, and if you live in Fort Lauderdale, people are definitely going to want to visit you. It is a great tourist destination, and living here year-round for the beaches is incredible. The water clarity is good. The sand's kind of yellow. It's not the best sand on earth. It's not white like Naples or Panama City Beach. It's kind of a yellowish sand, but the water clarity is great. Swimming quality, you know, it's kind of bigger waves and it kind of steep drop off. It's not the best for, let's say, disabled people or children. It's a beach that has some big waves and it gets deep pretty quickly. It's not the best swimming beach, but scenically, it's great. And if you're young and healthy and don't mind waves and all that, you'll love the beaches there. Is it that white sand people want when they think about Florida beaches? Not exactly. That's kind of one of the downfalls. But the color of the water is exceptional. If you can get a restaurant or a hotel right on the water, it's just the views, the color of the water. It's incredible. It really is a fantastic urban city. Other than parking and accessibility, the beach vibes, and the coastline in Broward County are top. I mean, literally can compete with Panama City Beach, Miami. I mean, it's a top beach. If you like something more calm, there is Sarasota on the other coast. It's a kind of the same vibe, but on a much smaller scale. It's a big metropolitan area, busy place. We go here quite often. Almost every year we try to stay on the beach. Now, the yellow sand and all that, I'm not going to go there to swim. I go there for the vibes. I go there for the views. The swimming quality of these beaches with the sand, it's also very light sand. It's not compact, so like your feet kind of sinks in all the way through. So it's not ideal, like the beach quality and sand and all that, but the vibes are exceptional. It's a great place to vacation. And if you move to this metropolitan area, there will be some great, enjoyable memories to be made. It just feels elegant. It feels clean. It's a great vibe. Expensive, stressful, all of that, but very rewarding. If you live in Fort Lauderdale, you're living in a place that's incredible. It's like a Panama City beach with more jobs and just more things to do. It's really unfortunate that the beaches here are not that white sand. If that were the case, then this would be like the best beach town in Florida. But again, there's trade-offs and no place is perfect. Broward County, again, is very liberal. And the culture here, Broward County is now like making more rap music than Miami. It's a unique sound of Florida music. So there's kind of a whole culture revolving around Broward County. You've had artists like Kodak Black, which is now considered one of the greatest rappers out of Broward County. You have Jack Boy, just endless list of artists, mostly rap. Broward County has literally reshaped the sound of rap globally. It's been very influential, and it has its own Haitian kind of mix to it. A lot of these rappers are not African American, they're Haitian. So this new Haitian American rap has really made a sound that is now influencing hip hop globally. So it's a focal point of culture. The entire urban culture is being reshaped by the sounds that are coming out of Broward County. And it's not a surprise. Again, it is a suburban county in a lot of ways, but culturally, it's very dense. I talked about the food, I talked about the nightlife, and when it comes to its influence culturally, particularly with music, it's very strong. It's been very influential, and Broward County now is like what New York used to be when it comes to hip hop. It really is the premier place for talent to be coming out of, shaping sounds and styles that when they came out were kind of odd and different. A lot of people when Broward County came out were like, what the crap is this? Today, it's become mainstream. Unfortunately, it is a subculture that is synonymous with gangs, crimes, and violence. XXXTentacion was a young man, I believe he was Colombian and Jamaican, and he was gunned down in Broward County in a robbery. And this is like the real sad part about this. On one end, Broward County is influencing culture globally. On the other end, the people that are doing it the best, like XXXTentacion, are getting killed in the streets of Broward County. Again, this lifestyle and this culture, it's like attracting violence, attracting gang activity. And unfortunately for the people that are part of that cultural mix, it comes with a package that many times leaves these people in bad situations. Kodak Black himself has not been a prime example, despite reaching fame and acclaim globally with his unique style of music that's very influential today. Kodak Black has been arrested. He's had to be pardoned by President Donald Trump. he has just had a run with crime that is endless. It seems like every time you open up your phone, Kodak Black is implicated in another criminal activity. Despite all the opportunities and money that life has given him, he can't distance himself from the streets. And unfortunately, if you are in Broward County, that street life is appealing to a lot of youth. Youth delinquency here is fairly bad. Drug addiction isn't bad. A lot of things that are plaguing other counties in Florida isn't that bad. But culturally, again, synonymous with gangs and violence. Now, numbers and analytics don't lie. Like I've repeated many times on our video, Broward County perfectly represents the state of Florida analytically. There's counties like Marion County that are like literally twice as many people dying from overdoses. So let's go through some of these rural counties in North Central Florida. They hate Miami. They hate Fort Lauderdale. They are going to say it's crime-ridden and dangerous, but they have higher homicide rates. That's a tough one to dispute right there. They have higher drug overdose death rates. It means they have a lot more drugs in their community. So despite the fact that it is an urban county with a lot of gangs and all this culture going on, analytically, some of these rural counties like Marion County, where Ocala sits, don't even get me started on some of the smaller counties. It's just out of control. Citrus County, which is like literally rural county. There aren't even large cities there. They have like more than 2 times more people overdosing from drugs. So the narrative that these large urban cities are gang-ridden, crime-ridden places, analytically, in the case of Broward County, it's just about average. But for some of these rural counties, their numbers really look bad. The villages, right? You know, the old people go there and play golf and all that. The homicide rate in the villages is higher than Broward County. And you may scratch your head and wonder how or why, but numbers are numbers. And when it comes to Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, despite the fact many people want to demonize these communities because of their diversity, they're Haitians, they're Venezuelans, and all these minority groups are here, and they want to say that these are gangs and criminals, blah, 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 blah. When you look at the numbers, it's still analytically safer than these rural counties in Florida. It's not disputable. Homicide rates are not disputable. Drug overdose death rates are not disputable. It is a better place to live. Now, there has been a huge white exodus out of Broward County. Many of our subscribers that today live in Highlands County, Polk County, Citrus County, Marion County, all these, Sumter County, all these, like Citrus County. Wow. I mean, there's literally all of like North Central Florida, all these small counties, they had a huge white exodus. All of the like regular middle-class white people left Broward County and moved a little bit further north into Florida. When they did that many years ago, Fort Lauderdale was literally dealing with a wave of crime that was predominantly fixed on the black community and the Hispanics that were moving in to a much larger extent than the whites. But it is now the year 2024, and currently it is the white population that has the highest drug overdoses, and it's predominantly counties that are mostly white now that have the highest homicide rates even. So now it's these rural, like smaller, middle-sized counties that have the highest drug overdose rates, highest homicide rates. It's 2024. Things have changed. It is actually better to live now in Fort Lauderdale, Broward County than it is to live in these smaller counties. Many of the white people that moved to these smaller rural counties are under the perception because of when they left Fort Lauderdale many years ago. Back then, analytics were different. But today, it is 2024, and today, Broward County is enjoying analytics that are much better than those rural counties. Now, many times when people move somewhere cheaper, you get what you pay for. And if you look at the real estate values of the properties they left behind today, I'm sure they have their fair share of regrets economically for selling these properties because the price appreciation here has been larger. So there is also kind of denial in a lot of ways. They left Broward County because they couldn't afford it. It was too expensive. You had to work too many hours. Labor force was way too competitive. I understand all that. But in the long run, those people who stayed are today much better off economically. And again, it comes back to the fact that it's a metropolitan area that has 2 million people. You're going to have inner city youth delinquency. You're going to have really bad neighborhoods. But what makes Broward County special and different is that there's actually thriving suburban areas like the ones I've mentioned that are diverse, they're safe, the incomes are high, and they're really great places to live. The ideology factor is something that a lot of people have a problem with, but that is usually the way the youth leans anyways. I had somebody in Alabama kind of explain this to me perfectly. He said when people are young, they're usually liberal, and as they mature, they become more conservative. And thus, that's probably a great representation of what this area is. It is a young, hip city, so that's the way people are going to lean. It's like on one end, if you're in Broward County, we know the garbage they're trying to shove down these kids' throats, which is, I wouldn't want my kids having all that ideological liberalism shoved down their throats in the school systems. But then on the other end, if you move to a rural community, drugs are more prevalent and, analytics are way worse in all the other categories. So it's like which of the two evils is a greater evil? I think a lot of times when it comes to your family, it's not so much what the schools are teaching or what people in your community are doing. It has to do with how you raise your family and the values that you teach your family, how well you discipline your kids, how well you monitor your kids. So if if your kids are out on the streets doing whatever they want, getting into trouble, then the parents are not doing their job. I think a lot of it starts at home. And a lot of times people these days want to let the school system raise their kids. They think they can just pay for expensive schools and it's the school system's responsibility to raise your. It's not, okay? My parents were teaching me when I was young a very conservative way of living. And that's the values that I have today. Now, the schools taught me evolution, for example. Don't believe in evolution. Never cared for it. They taught me that in school. Did I believe in it? No. So it's like what you do with parenting at home makes a huge difference. You can't let the school systems raise your kids. And today in America, it's like if you go with the rural communities, you have higher drug overdose, death rates, all that. And if you go with the inner city, then they're trying to shove rainbows down the kids' throats. And it's just the way things are in this world. There's no getting away from that. Either way, if you are an adult and you have children and you bring them to this county, that's what they're going to shove down their throats. And unfortunately, they will be influenced by it in many ways, especially with the pool that Broward County has culturally. Again, Kodak Black, just an incredible amount of cultural pull that this county has. The youth is very impressionable and they're going to feel attracted to the culture, all of that, so it's a constant element that's there. If you're a parent, that can be a difficult decision to make when considering moving to Broward County, because that is the way that they teach. Some people don't care, but to a lot of people, it's a huge problem. It's a problem that I think you can curb at home if you don't agree with it. And again, it's like the schools try to teach me evolution. I never believed in it. Did it change what I thought about it? It didn't. So it's like at some point, what you teach at home has to value more than what a school system shoves down your kids' throats. And unfortunately, again, this county is way more liberal than San Francisco by percentage of the population. So consider that if you're moving here, because the school systems have an agenda here. I know the state of Florida is predominantly conservative, but this county and these cities are extraordinarily liberal, and boy, do they push their agenda. Those are the things you should probably know if you're thinking about moving to Broward County and you have a family. I think that's something a lot of people don't like. When I was in California, beautiful state, beautiful weather, beautiful mountains. What a beautiful place. Great culture as well. And then you look at the school systems and you're like, well, do I want to put my kids, to be brainwashed when they go to school? And unfortunately today, that's the way things work. The state's doing one thing, the cities are doing another, and it's just one giant effort to shove people's ideologies and political views down the throats of young children. And unfortunately, Florida is a cultural battleground, political battleground at this point, and it's definitely difficult. It really is challenging, and if you're moving to this county, it's something you're going to have to think about very carefully. And if you're retiring early and you want to enjoy the nightlife and all that, then you also have to think about the price tag. not cheap to live in Broward County. Life is expensive, eating out is expensive, general cost of living here is excessive, and back to the problem of Florida, lack of industry. Now, the biggest industry in Broward County is still tourism. It's a strong tourist industry, but it's also depends greatly on, well, seasonal. South Florida, mostly during the winter. You're not going to find the same job opportunities in Broward County that you are in Cincinnati or Columbus, Ohio, or any other city in the country. There are better jobs in other regions. California has better jobs. New York has better jobs. Most of the Midwest has better jobs. Minneapolis has better jobs. Chicago has better jobs. Jobs in Florida pay very little. You have Cuban and Haitian immigrants. They come from poor countries, and it's expensive to live here, so the labor force is challenging at best. It's not a county you're going to move to and find these incredible incomes. I remember when I worked in South Miami, one of my employees that I was training lived in Fort Lauderdale, and it was a 2-hour and 45-minute commute each way. Yes, it is very challenging of an area. I have family that lives in this county, and if you go into education or a good field, you can find good jobs, but it's not what you're going to make in other states either way. Apartments are really expensive in Broward County, and a lot of people have to live with roommates to make up the difference. That's just part of living here. It's got good incomes compared to other Florida counties, but when you throw in the cost of living, commutes, and all that, it's somewhat challenging to live in this county. I frankly don't know how people here can do it, to be honest. If you're just a regular working class person, you're not going to make it here. Cubans, Haitians, Brazilians, these people have an extraordinarily hard work ethic. They come from poor countries. They're in the United States to be successful. They didn't come here to be average people. They came here to be successful. So the labor force here is very talented. They're very willing to work very hard. Now you have also Venezuelans coming, and Venezuelans, a lot of them are really driven. Like I just met a girl Uber driving in Sarasota from Venezuela last night. She works something like 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. She has 2 jobs. I give her an Uber ride at 3 in the morning. She works the next day at 10 in the morning. She has 2 jobs. And she lives in a house with 10 other people to be able to afford the high cost of living. So that's the reality for Florida. People here economically are just doing what it takes. It's very difficult. Comparable to like living in New York City, to be honest. Like I said, the white middle class people from this county literally all left to more affordable areas. Interestingly though, when people are so preoccupied with working, they have very little time free for crime. And that's why, despite being a busy, large metropolitan area, it is just a fraction of the crime that you'll have in a city like Cincinnati, Louisville, Atlanta. It's just considerably safer. All right, that just about wraps up everything that you need to know about Broward County, the home of Kodak Black, an influential culture powerhouse with great diversity, great dining, incredible nightlife, beautiful beaches, very liberal school system. Let's not forget, somewhat polarizing as well. It seems like a place of a lot of contrast, but everybody here gets along very well. If there's one beautiful thing that can be said about Broward County, is that despite people having different views and different cultures and different ethnicities, everybody here is having a great, fun time. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, or Hispanic, or even Asian. It's just a place where everybody carves their own piece of life with a lot of effort. It's definitely not easy or granted. This is a place of hard work, effort, and dedication to obtain a quality of life that is very high, not affordable, not easy to obtain. I would recommend Broward County to young people with good education, good credentials, have the ability to earn a lot of income, and have, of course, the ability to enjoy it. If you're just a middle of the field type of worker, you may want to find a place that is more economical. But if you have the economical means and the ability to make income, then a place like Broward County would give you the ability to enjoy a very sophisticated, clean, safe, fun place with serious advantages. An airport close to the beaches and to the downtown. You also have Miami International Airport not too far away. You're right outside of Miami. Broward County has great cities. You're in the vicinity of Boca Raton, which is actually in Palm Beach County, but somewhat similar to Broward County in a lot of ways. It's a nice, beautiful city. Hollywood. Come on now, Hollywood. Great cities, great places, lots of fun things to do. It's really a great place. And what is not to like, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like kind of like the criminal underbelly of the inner city here. You know, like the apartment complexes, the higher population density. I like to see minorities be successful. Like I would live in Coral Springs or Parkland. Not a chance in the world I live in a place like Lauderhill or Pompano, where it's inner city poverty and somewhat of a culture of crime and gang activity and finesse. That's not me. But look, I'll be honest, like I live in Branson, Sarasota now, and there's some seriously undesirable areas here. If you live in a large city today, there's going to be undesirable elements. And that's not going to change much. If you live in a large city, there's going to be areas that suck. And I enjoy the beaches where I live in Sarasota. I enjoy all the great things we've talked about. But as well, there are some crappy neighborhoods. And if you're living in a large metropolitan area, there's going to be undesirable elements. At least in Broward County, it's not as bad as some of these other large cities in the country. It really is better. But it comes at the cost of things are more expensive, jobs are more difficult. It's not easy to live here. So endemically, there is a problem in Dade County, and it extends a little bit into Broward County, which is that no matter how educated you are, if you're black, doesn't matter your credentials academically, they don't open doors for you here. And it's a problem to where a lot of black people from Miami have to move to other parts of the country to get opportunities, even other parts of the state, because in this metropolitan area, they just economically don't do you right. So socially, they, blah, 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 but economically, it's really difficult. For example, Miami has one, and Miami again is just right down the border, right? Like Broward and Dade are right next to each other. Miami-Dade County has a problem where African Americans, even if they have exceptional education, for example, a high school dropout that is Hispanic in Dade County will make more money than a black person with a bachelor's degree. They simply do not give African Americans and black people in general very good opportunities in this area of the state of Florida. So many African Americans are finding that even though they have good education, have good credentials, the doors are not open to them here, okay? Now, it's not Southern segregationist racism, and it's not hate, and it's not like awkward like in other places where there's like a racial tension. It's not a racial tension. It's just economically, you're not looked at as the same. It's competitive for the whites. The whites have to compete with the Hispanics, and everybody here is out to work like animals, and they don't want to value black people the same way. And that's going to be a problem for you if you're black and thinking you're going to integrate the labor force. Again, the issue here in this metropolitan area is integrating the labor force is difficult for everybody. But if you're black, they just don't value you the same way. And that's not something that's opinion-based. Like I said, in Dade County next door, a Hispanic that dropped out of high school makes more income than a black person with a bachelor's degree. You're just economically not valuable here. Other states will socially outcast you, will treat you bad socially. Okay, for example, like the Deep South, it's a social type of discomfort. You don't have that here. People don't socially care that you're black. But when you go to get a job, it will be looked at economically. I call it economical racism, and this is an aspect of life in South Florida. And again, I don't think South Florida is racist, but it does deprive you economically if you're black or Hispanic. And that is just the way it's always been here. I think part of the issue here is just that it's so competitive. Everybody wants to be here. Everybody's willing to work so hard to live in these South Florida counties. And thus, it's kind of just an extra filter that the people that have the most economical mobility put into place to kind of hold back the economical powers. Because after all, if you do look at a map of Broward County carefully, you'll see that there's two scenarios going on. In the suburbs, great diversity and mixing. Parkland, Coral Springs, all those little suburbs, great stuff going on there. But then you have this line of segregation along Dixie Highway by name, where the white people have the coastline, and if you go 1 mile inland, then it becomes black. And that in itself means that there's two scenarios happening here. You got the white rich on the water, you have the poor black in the inner city, and then you have the suburbs where everybody mixes. It's a really weird place because most cities are either one way or another. And here you have two very strange types of social integration. You have the suburbs that are mixed and diverse and everybody gets along. And then you have the inner city, which is still somewhat segregated. But more than a racial segregation, it almost feels like an economical class segregation, because at the end of the day, simply nobody in the Latino or Hispanic community that is native to this area can literally afford to buy real estate along the beaches. People that move from other countries with money built somewhere else are able to do it. Yeah, you'll see Brazilians and Russians and people from all over the world, even Latinos and even some Africans that have a lot of money that move to this area, and they'll buy expensive, exclusive real estate. But that money came from somewhere else. It wasn't created here in Broward County. So then you also have some type of weird distinction between the natives. We're talking the people that are from Broward County that live in these inner city neighborhoods, or from Miami-Dade that shifted northbound. These are like the locals. And then you got the people that relocate here that for some reason or another just have exponentially better economic opportunities. So somebody from like an inner city area of Broward County might be like, yo, this is seriously messed up. But somebody who moves here from New York and already has money and has acquired different education credentials might move here and be like, oh, this is like normal. But it's just going to depend on your particular circumstances. But at the end of the day, it is an incredible melting pot where a rapping Jew person exists. That's not going to happen everywhere in America. It takes a place like Broward County to come up with just a unique mix of cultures and identities. And if you look at many of the talents that are coming out of Broward County, you'll see a lot of diversity. You'll see Jewish, Colombian, Jamaican, Haitian, Cuban, all that. But still, Broward County is a new county in the sense that Miami, its culture is older. Broward County is just now forming this mix. It's just now creating this cultural concussion that the world loves, but that Broward County also has to see the other side of it, that it's coming from poverty, it's coming from inner city lifestyles, and that many of the artists are plagued. Even though they obtain money, they obtain wealth, they're still in some way or another being held back by the streets. Addiction for some, crime for other, the propensity to be victimized by criminals. All that is a package that you can find as well in this county of Broward if you're looking for it. So overall, that county is safe, it is great, it is beautiful. But I guess if you want to find something bad in this county, you can find it too. I think most people that move here enjoy the fact that they can be who they are without that context of identity and racism, but they really resent the economical package that comes along with it, a package that makes getting ahead very difficult. Many of the people who leave Broward County tell me that they hated the traffic congestion, cost of living, but they really miss the particular foods and cultural items that they could get in Broward County that simply cannot be replicated in the new place where they live. So even the people that move away because of the crowding and over expensive prices of everything and bad, difficult conditions to get jobs, they still miss the essence of Broward County, the food, the culture, and probably secretly, if these people had enough money one day, they would likely move back and live in Broward County because it really is just something that cripples the working class person. But people who have money, actually, it's a great place to live at that point where you can really enjoy one of the best metropolitan areas to live in the United States, where crime is seriously relatively average, which is, I mean, it's a large city with average crime. Analytics. What else could you want from a city? I mean, America. If it's not above average, then it's not a city in America. So in that category, they're doing great. That is Broward County, Florida, an enjoyable place to live. Definitely economically challenging. And there is no I'm gonna move to a dangerous neighborhood because it's more affordable. Like literally even the expensive neighborhoods here come at the price of an arm and a leg.